and Masai Mara. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live. A very good morning to all of you and welcome to a Mara-only sunrise safari. My name is Jamie and this morning Vim is on camera with me. And of course, whilst there may be millions of wildebeest on their way, there will only ever be one wildy. Hey Vimpy. Don't forget, because this is a live safari, you can send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. James is in Nairobi at the moment. Oh, hyena. Let's catch up with the hyena. Where are you going, hyena? Whoops. That's reverse. James is in Nairobi, so Brent will be in the not tent. Scott will be out on drive. And Chitwa, one of our vehicles, will be having her gearbox checked. Where are you going, hyena? Alright, hyena's disappearing over the hill, and I don't want to scare the giraffe because this is such a pretty view. I'm excited. We're going to go and look for the Angama pride, see whether they've been successful during the evening. We can catch up with their 10 little cubs, and then we'll see where the morning takes us. What would you like to see this morning, giraffe? Probably a lady, I imagine. They're all up on the soccer field up in the hill. That's where you need to be. There's lots of ladies there. It's quite the view. It's quite a chilly morning this morning out here in the Mara. It is 17, which is, what's that again, Kirst? 63 Fahrenheit? 62 Fahrenheit, I'm told. So 62 Fahrenheit, there's a nice cool breeze blowing, and we're not seeing the normal gorgeous golden colors that I associate with sunrise because it's nice and cloudy. Which, of course, is always exciting weather for the predators. It means they're much more active for much longer. I want to see a cheetah today, VM. I haven't seen a cheetah in a while. That's what I want to see. Yeah, VM agrees. Cheetah or a serval? I'll take either. I'll take both. Let's see what we stumble upon. I believe Scott's planning an all-day adventure today. He's going to go and explore the great wilderness. I'm going to get off this road. I know there's lots of animals to look at, but there's also some vehicles, some Angama vehicles on their way out. There's Scott behind me. Everybody wants to get down the hill. Hi, giraffe. And speaking of Scott, I'm sure he is just dying to say good morning, so let's let him do that.
Hello everyone, and it's a great pleasure to have you on board with myself, Scott, and Senzo on camera. As you can see, Jamie's just in front of us, and we are certainly looking forward to the adventures that lie ahead of us today. I'm going to be heading into an area that I've yet to explore since arriving here 4 or 5 days ago. And as Jamie mentioned, we are going to be spending the whole day out. Got a nice little picnic packed and a few snacks. And the hope is that we'll be able to catch some action between the drives, and then we'll possibly be able to go live on Facebook for any action that may unfold. I'm really hoping to get some river crossings, and I know the pressure's building on the Mara River already. Some wildebeest and zebra have started to cross to the north of it, and who knows, maybe we'll be able to get some of that action today. Jamie did mention that she did hear the lions, probably the Angama pride, probably somewhere in this area that we're driving through last night, fairly close to camp, which is just So maybe she'll scratch around here for a little bit and see if she doesn't have any luck. But we are going to be heading further south. Hello, Bree. You're interested to know what's packed in our picnic box? Well, there's a host of different things. We have some academic apples.
Good morning. James is in Nairobi and I've taken over the studio. And since there is not a bright orange sunrise today, I've decided to give you a sunrise in a shuka. Now, I'm going to have fun playing with all James's toys while he's away. James has, of course, gone to Nairobi to get some more toys, and I've been playing, popping them down so we can have a good look at what's going. But I think first, let us show you where Scott is planning to go. Brum, 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 brum. So Jamie is going to go just down the hill, and she's going to look for Angama pride. Scott has got a safari on his hands, and Scott is coming down the hill, and off he goes. Now, I probably think he's going to go down the river. Oh, and then he's got a choice again when he gets to the 4-kilometer junction. Now, because he's after those wildebeest crossings, I think he's going to go down and across. And that is the crossings behind Lookout. But we have something very exciting, and I forgot to tell you. My name is Brent Smith, and you are live in Kenya, and we've got the latest addition to the Kenyan team. Oh, who could that be? And the latest addition to the Kenyan team lives right there. There we go, the first of the river cams, and there's a crocodile out in the water, just to slightly left of frame. Or center frame, and there's another one to the right. So this is the Dusty Crossing Camp. Now this is one of the most popular crossings. There's some hippos walking down at the back. Now who's called? Oh, there we go. We've got some movement. There we go. There's the crocodile. And Jared is our zoomie today. Hello, Jared. Jared is zooming in onto the crocodile. And of course, it's quite fitting that Jared is the zoomie, since Jared is one of the people with Peter who put the camera up. Oh, the crocodile doesn't like you, Jared. Jared, let's come out wide. Although he's what would we say, wallowing in the water, waiting for the great feast to arrive. So, Jared, let's come out and go downstream. There's some hippo that were wandering. Oh, there we go. You can see them walking through the shallow water there. And isn't this absolutely spectacular? So this is Dusty Crossing. And of course, this gives us a completely unique angle on the crossings that other people are not really going to be able to get, because these cameras are mounted into the bank. And there we go. Hello, hippopotami. Obviously coming back from a long night of grazing, avoiding lions, hyenas, and of course avoiding other hippos. Well, you're a male, that is. Fighting. Now, the interesting thing about Dusty Crossing is also a spot where we see Scarface and the Paradise Pride quite frequently. So who knows, we might catch them on the crossing cam. We have another big group of hippos. Oh, there's a little baby nuzzling with an adult there. Dina says she loves this different hippo view. It's definitely giving us a really unique view, because there's no people there, so the animals are going to be able to do what they want, when they want, without knowing we're veering on them. Not that they take any offense to the vehicles, they're quite used to them, but it is quite interesting to watch. Mina wants to know, how do you keep the animals from tearing down the river cam? Oh, sorry, I'm readjusting my shuka. That is what you heard there. Well, they're mounted into the wall, so they're very well hidden, and then the batteries and that control them or that run them are buried into a steel box in the ground. Now, of course, it is starting to become a very beautiful morning, and there is something bright orange that is competing with my shuka. I'm quite sad. Let's see, which do you think? Which do you think, Dave? Sunrise or my shuka? Sunrise. But Jamie has already had some success out there. Let's go see what she's found.
I'm not sure. I think the sunrise out here is rather beautiful, especially when it's illuminating a member of the Angama pride. Although, no disrespect meant to our shuka, which I think is gorgeous. Our sunrise shuka. And there we go. The Angama pride, not all that difficult to find at the moment, because of course they've got the young cubs that they den in this lugger, or drainage line, that runs basically very, very close to the road that comes down off the mountain. Right, let's go get a little bit closer, see what she's seen. She's seen something. I'm trying to work out if she's seen another lion, or if she saw something or heard something in the grass. Morning, girl. I wonder which one this is. Let's see if we can have a closer look. Maybe I can work it out. I know what the mother of the youngest cubs looks like. I think this might be her. No, it's not. Now, the Angamas have proved to be probably the lions that we see the most often. I don't think it's particularly difficult to guess why. They're right outside of our camp. What's there, girl? What do you see that I don't? She's listening as well. I can't see anything immediately apparent. No, relaxed again. So I think the plan for the morning will be to go and see if we can find the different members of the Angama pride. It's been interesting observing them, especially obviously right the way through the night. The other evening was a lesson in their behavior and the way that they are never too far away from their cubs, which makes complete sense with the number of hyenas out here. But every time they fail a hunting attempt, they rest for a little bit and then they go back to the cubs. And they spend some time with them, and then they take them with them for a little bit, the older cubs at least. They take them with them for a little bit, and they stash them, and then they try again. And of course, with 10 hungry mouths to feed, they're constantly on the lookout for food. She's seen something. What is there? No. Moving along down into the very, very steep drainage line, the one that is impossible to cross. Last night, no, not last night, I'm getting my nights confused given that I'm often asleep during the day. 2 nights ago, we followed them, we watched them try and miss 3 times, but the 4th time was when they were successful, and the 4th one was when they completely pulled the wool over my eyes. They'd just arrived back at the cubs. I was rejoicing because I'd found them again, because I'd lost them for the 3rd time that night. And then all of a sudden they shot off at great speed, and I just couldn't keep up. And by the time I found them again, they had already partially devoured their zebra kill. What you looking for, girl? The rest of the pride or your cubs? Our Kerry, very good question, and I don't think it has been answered as our lioness walks right next to us. Terry, Terry, I want to know if it rains and the lugger fills up, and by the way, she's still empty-bellied, she hasn't eaten. Or if she has, she hasn't eaten much. What have you seen, girl? She's right. Let me tuck my head down. Terry, they move the cubs up out of the drainage. That's all that they have to do. And the cubs will instinctively move. Cubs do drown, especially if the rain comes down very hard and there's basically a flash flood. Essentially, it does happen that cubs drown, but most of the time their instincts will take them up out of the drainage line and often underneath the bushes surrounding it. Look at the focus in her eyes. She's seen something behind me. I think she's actually using me as cover.
The other lines might be behind us in the road.
Ah, suggests that the other lions might be behind us in the road. She doesn't look prey intent, you're right, she looks lion intent. I keep bopping my head into the frame, I'm sorry, I'm trying to look behind us. But I can't see. Oh, we'll just wait. Obviously I can't switch on the vehicle now, given that she has been so very confiding. This is not a mother of cubs. This must be the fourth lioness. What have you seen, my girl? Must be other lions. Okay, I'm going to put my head into frame for a second, for which I do apologize in advance. Oh, never mind. There you go. Sidling right past the vehicle. There she goes. These lions just as comfortable with vehicles as the ones in the sands. Alright, no, she's seen something. Chitty Chatty Meg, you want to know if we're in any danger here? We're not. We're not at all. Obviously they are wild animals and we treat them as such. The biggest danger is driving into this lugger at this point. Or the ground collapsing underneath me. No, we're not in any danger. We treat them with respect. Obviously, all of us have been doing this for many years, so we are very aware. She's gonna go. She's definitely seen something. I'm gonna stop there, Viam. Are you okay with that? I'm worried she's gonna pounce soon. She's definitely seen something in the bushes. It could be a warthog. Something that I can't see. Okay, let me move. I just was worried she was gonna... 20-point turn. There she goes. Okay, happy, Viam? You got enough? I'm just scared of missing the moment. There she goes. She's definitely seen something. Okay, let's go with her. Got enough space to turn. Liz, a very, very good question. Liz would like to sort of know about whether or not we ever get used to, or she knows that we must get used to having the lions so close to us, but does it ever get our hearts racing? Liz, it does absolutely still, to this day. Not when she's next to me during the day, but I find especially at night. The other night we had one of the dominant males of this area walk past me in the dark, and I mean his head was, let's not exaggerate, but his head was here, right next to mine. And although it's rationally I know it's absolutely fine, instinctively there is a part of me that knows. There's a ranger coming up behind me. Let's just check where he is. There's a part of me that responds instinctively. Some primal part of me that knows that at one point lions would have eaten my ancestors. And especially at night when... Morning! When lions are a very different animal to the one that they are during the day. She's still looking for something. I haven't seen anything. But she's still intent and she's using the barrier of the road to keep herself hidden. Vim, does your heart race? There was a moment the other night where Vim and I were out all night, not the last one, time before, and we both accidentally nodded off at around about 2 o'clock in the morning, after the Angamas had killed that zebra. Keep popping her head up. She's definitely seen something that we haven't. Here she goes, right next to the Angama vehicle. Sidling past, I bet that gets the heart rate of the guests racing. And Viam suddenly sat up with a jolt, and there was a lioness right next to his head. She wasn't doing anything except relieving herself, but I think it was sufficient surprise. I'm going to keep following this lioness and find out where she's going. Let's find out what Scott's plans are for the morning.
Well, happy to hear you guys had a close shave with that lioness as it brushed past Jamie's vehicle. We've been moving at quite high speeds. We've already gone about 10 kilometers, that's about 6 miles. And we are planning to head to an area where we can follow the Mara River downstream and see what action we can find along there. So far, all we've really seen is a few hyena running along the roads, probably heading back home after a long night out. But it sure is a beautiful morning here, and I cannot wait to see what beauty and what animals we can find up ahead of us. Hello, Michael. Great to have you with us. Sorry, I'm just going to stop here for a second. This waterbuck on our right just stopped back and looked into those bushes over there. So I just want to make sure it can't detect anything out of the ordinary. With this very long grass, there could be a predator nearby. Although, judging by its current plans, I don't think it's too bothered. Sorry, Michael, back to your question. You would like to know what this area is like compared to the area of Kenya that I was in. And it's hugely, hugely different. Where I was in kind of central Kenya, just north of the equator, in an area called Samburu, and it's very hot and dry, semi-arid desert there. So nowhere near like this in terms of scenery. There's not nearly as much grass and vegetation, and it's not nearly as lush as here. But lots of unique species occur up there, so that's one of the benefits of that area. And also a lot of rich, raw culture, kind of undisturbed by the Western world. So there's a lot of people living as they did many, many years ago. So it's a combination of good game viewing, unique species, as well as cultural experiences. It's a lot hotter up there, so I'm enjoying this cool weather as a change of scenery. And because we are on the equator here, we don't really have big seasons. It's fairly constant throughout the year. Anyway, enough about the weather. Back to a lioness on the hunt.
Our lioness is most definitely on the hunt, and she's slinking along. She's just reached the top of the ridge of the road, looking intently off to her left. Whatever she's after is on the opposite side of the road. And again, this is the lesson in patience. Oh, what's she seen? She's going down again, slinking forward. I'm just trying to see. I can't see what it is she spotted, but the grass is so long, it could easily have hidden something like a warthog from our eyes. This is where the senses of the lion are so incredibly important. It's been fascinating watching these hunts play out. The way that they use the roads, they use the cover that is available to them, but at the same time they have to keep poking their heads up to see what else is going on. Now, it could well be that there's another lioness there that we haven't seen that is playing out the whole pincer movement approach to hunting. Another lioness might have gone around off to the other side. She's slinking forward again. Look at that body. Look at those muscles rippling as she holds that body down to the ground. Sniffing again. Patience. Stopping, looking, listening. Moving when it's safe to do so. Sky, yes, absolutely. The Angama lionesses are hunting every night, and that is because they've got the cubs to feed. And at the moment, food is not all that easily available to them. So the migration hasn't arrived yet. They've got scattered herds of zebra that they're after. And for the most part, I've only ever seen them hunt zebra so far. I know that they do hunt warthog. I suppose they're just like all predators, opportunistic. Such an impressive looking cat. So they are hunting every night, they're hunting during the day, they are hunting almost always. If they are not asleep, they are hunting or playing with the cubs. They've got their work cut out for them. And it's really given me a profound sense of respect when it comes to these lionesses because they work hard. I think there's something coming towards her. Deer watcher, it very much depends. So deer watcher's question is, how far back do we stay when we're watching a hunt? Because the camera does make it hard to tell. The answer is we're probably about 100 meters from her at the moment. Maybe a bit less, 70 meters from her. And we're keeping our distance. There are quite a few other tourists who are here to watch this whole process, and there is a ranger with them to make sure that the lions are never abused or that their situation is never hampered by the presence of vehicles, which is a fantastic thing. So there we go, that's the distance. What do you see, Wildy? Is there something there? She's still watching. So it very much depends on the situation. She's back up again. Sometimes the lions hunt right next to us, and we're very, very lucky. There's certain places where it's very difficult for us to off-road, and then we watch from afar. It's highly circumstantial. Okay. Slinking very low to the ground. Just the top of her head showing. And she's disappeared over the top. So we're going to go very, very slowly. Obviously we don't want to sabotage her hunt. Oh, there's some impala that Viam has spotted that she's after. Pardon? An impala. It's going to be a tricky one for her. Okay, we're going to send you over to Scott. I didn't quite hear what he's found, but I'm sure it's something exciting.
Coming. So, we've just come across this herd of zebra, and this one's decided to start taking a dust bath. Initially there was two. Oh, I love it when they do this. Initially there was two hyena kind of lurking amongst them, and the one stallion did chase the hyena, and I was just stopping just to make sure these opportunistic hyena weren't actually trying to hunt any of the younger foals within this herd of zebra. Oh, well done, Senzo. Those are the two culprits. And there's nothing I enjoy more than seeing a predator get turned on its heels by a prey animal like the zebra. The zebra are known to chase quite a few of the smaller prey species, leopard, jackal, hyena. I've heard of them even stripping the tail straight off a jackal. They bite onto it and strip the tail right off. That must leave the jackal with a bit of a fashion crisis. Beautiful scenes. And I'm very happy to hear that you guys have been enjoying some exciting prospects with Jamie and that lioness. Let's hope she manages to work out a plan to fill that belly of hers. I wonder where the rest of the pride is. That's also another exciting prospect that possibly they could all reunite at some point. Always wonderful to watch the reuniting of pride members. So, Bree, sorry, I forgot to mention what was the rest of our picnic due to some tech issues earlier. I was planning on actually keeping it a surprise for Senzo, but we'll keep it for a surprise for next one. But we got some chicken mayonnaise rolls with a slice of cheese and some coleslaw mixed in. We've got some chocolate for dessert, top deck it's called. It's dark chocolate on the bottom and white chocolate on top. We've got some lollipops, apples, bananas, and lots of water, and some coffee. So, I think we're fairly well equipped. Hello to Skip in Texas, and you would like to know if the driving rules are similar here in the Mara as they are down in South Africa in the Sabi Sands. And yes, I mean most parks and reserves have got very similar speed limits. It's usually 50 kilometers an hour, which is about 30 miles an hour as a rough rule, 50 to 60 kilometers an hour. And then off-roading all depends on the individual. We've got special permission in some areas here, so it all depends on the specific reserve really, Skip. But it's usually much of a muchness. I'm not sure how many national parks in Africa actually have speed cops, but I know in the Kruger National Park in South Africa they do, and for good reason. There they've got asphalt or tarmac roads, so it's easy to travel quickly. So there needs to be some people in place to make sure people don't go too quickly. Okay, well, I'm sure you guys are all eagerly awaiting an update from Jamie and that lioness, so off you go.
Our lioness is still hunting, but she's made a slight mistake. Now, the prey that she's after is a Coke's hartebeest, which Viam brilliantly put as a topi that forgot to put its pants on this morning. She's after them, but they're aware of something. They're aware of something. They saw her movement. They all glanced back where she snuck through, and they're now on alert. And now she's really got to work hard at staying invisible, because they're aware of her, they're looking in her direction, but they haven't quite worked out that she's a lion. They know there's something, but they don't know if it's a lion or not. And it's going to be very, very difficult for her to close the distance now. She's still hunting them. She's still trying, but it's going to be tricky. And the hartebeest, of course, one of the fastest antelope that occur out here, along with the topi, which is, of course, in the same family. Everything seems frozen for now, the lioness included. Anna Marie, you want to know if the lions have a higher success rate here than they might in the Sabi Sand? I don't think necessarily, no. I imagine that during the migration, because there's just more food available, then their success rate is absolutely higher, and I suppose on average that would bump up their success rate to being a little bit higher than those in the sands. But during the green season, before the arrival of the migration, I would say it's pretty similar. There's lots of food around, though. Food availability is slightly higher. Oh, these hartebeest are moving right off now, girl. I think you've missed out. Unless they go across the drainage, in which case she can use that as cover, the lugger. That's brilliant, Liam. They look exactly like Topi that forgot to put their pants on. It is early in the morning. Certain mistakes can be forgiven. But the whole family, I know. As a collective unit. You can see they're nervous. They know there's something going on. They don't quite know what it is, though. There's the little Cokes. I've seen it every day. Oh, lioness has moved. As they've moved, she moved. Oh, sorry, girl. I'm not sure this is going to work, but you're still going to try. You never know. Delicate balance between seeing where the animal's going and staying hidden. I think you've been spotted. You've been made. Sorry, girl. There you go, the hartebeest, not taking any chances. They mightn't know for certain that there's a lion there, but they're not going to take any chances. not with the little one. Unless there's another Angama female waiting on the other side of the drainage. That's also a possibility. Which is the other. Where'd she go? She must be slinking forward. Oh, there she is. Head above grass. You've got to be so cautious if you're an animal that gets hunted by lions out here. Imagine, you see a lion and you think, ha, spotted you. Go racing off in the opposite direction only to find yourself in even deeper trouble. There are 4 lionesses. We've only got 1. John, you want to know if the prey animals have figured out that if cars are around, it means that predators are around? No, I don't think so. I don't think that they've figured that much out, and the reason I don't think that is because there are plenty of successful hunts where the animals are completely oblivious, even though there's plenty of cars packed around the lion that's hunting them. A, and we saw that with the zebra the other day, and B, bear in mind that tourists stop for not just the cats either. Yes, you might see more vehicles around a cat, but we often stop and look at crocs or topi or zebra or whatever it happens to be. So it's not an association that they would have included in their mind. Nor do I think that the hyenas associate vehicles with lions here, because there's just so much else going on. Yeah. They're alarm calling at her, but now she's just brazenly walking towards them. This is not going to work, my girl. Unless you know something I don't, like the position of another lioness. And they don't want to run too far from her because they want to be able to see where she is. Running too far away would be a mistake, because then she could sneak up on them again. They're all watching her. They know she's there. Making sure at least someone is looking in the opposite direction, in case there is a lion on that side of them. Well, it was a good attempt. Yeah, well, she's right out in the open watching them run away. I'm just keeping an eye on them in case there is a second lioness involved, but I don't see one. I imagine she would have shown herself by now. Okay, I think that's that for this hunt at least, but certainly not the end of the story for the morning. Right, well, while the cat's away, the mice are playing, and in this case the mouse is Brent, and he's up in James's tower.
Well, let's give you an idea. So I'm just going to give you a big, broad idea about what's going on. Scott, by looking where he was, where do we have Scott? Scott is about here now, so he's on his way towards the crossing point. Now, at the moment, most of those wildebeest are concentrated along the southern area here, from around Silas, and we found something new. There's some herds of wildebeest that have skipped the river crossing and are coming straight from Tanzania into the triangle in this area here, and at the same time, their big herds at the moment are crossing along these two crossings here, and then this whole valley and up here is filled with zebra and wildebeest. But constantly, we've got wildebeest crossing the Sand River from the south here. So this area is filling up. We found a new hyena den while we were on the other side, and that is over here. Not sure what the den or which clan it is just yet. And then I know a lot of you would have known about a very famous cheetah called Malika. Now, we haven't spent much time up here yet, but we have seen Malika around here, and from chatting to the Silas guys, this is where the area she's spending time in at the moment. So this is where Malika has been spending her time. And of course there's another cheetah called Musiara, who's been more or less over here. And those are the two cheetah I've seen quite a bit of on the other side of the river. Now, of course, you saw, we've seen before the governor's, I'm going the wrong way for Dave, the governor's clan of hyenas, or the clan of hyenas around governors. They're a big clan. We would have seen some of them with that. They've got a den right on the governor's airstrip. The local migration of wildebeest is still around this Musiara area, though I did notice some that have crossed the river on the triangle side. So lots happening. So it's just wonderful to be able to try and keep up with what's going on. Oh, I do see a crocodile. Look at that, there's a crocodile on the river cam or crossing cam, and isn't that a beastly looking beast? Now, I've got a question for everyone at home. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter if you know the answer. What is the major difference between a crocodile and an alligator? A crocodile and an alligator, what are the major differences between a crocodile and an alligator? I'm going to give you a hint. You see those ridges on his head and then going down into his neck. That is a bit of a clue. Now, of course, crocodiles are one of the only reptiles in the world that are able to a degree, change or maintain their own body temperature. They do bask to warm up, but they still are capable of doing a bit of thermoregulation themselves, which puts them on a sort of different side to the rest of the reptiles that are very, very reliant on the sun. Now, the big thing is, you must realize about these crocodiles is that they have the ability to only feed once or twice a year when the wildebeest are there. Oh, it seems like we have our first answer. Says the nose. Well, the nose is of course of a slightly different shape, but that's not what I'm looking for, Jody. So good try, but it's more to do with something under the outer layer. Now, the other interesting thing about crocodiles, and it has been proven, not scientifically, but in just what happens with Nile crocodiles, is that, and it has been scientifically proven with saltwater crocodiles, porosis, or the Australian saltwater crocodile, is that they are able to learn, which is a very, very, very interesting thing. So evolution has given them the ability to learn. It takes them a bit longer than mammals, but they can learn very carefully. And of course, these crocodiles have learned that these crossing points are very, very important. Oh, Jared, we need to give Jared some camera tips there, Dave, about smooth zooming. I'm only teasing, of course, Jared. We really appreciate the help. There we go. There's a nice fat Nile crocodile on the outside. Well, it means as crocodiles smile and show their teeth, and alligators don't. And alligators can show their teeth as well. As I said, it's something to do with those ridges along its back and on its head is the real trick. One of the major differences, there are obviously quite a few differences. We don't get any alligators in Africa, being one, and only crocodiles. We've got three major species of crocodiles: the Nile crocodile, the dwarf crocodile, and the slender-snouted crocodile. There are subspecies of those particular crocodile species as well. It also looks like quite an old crocodile, probably in the region of 60 to 70 years old. Not the biggest one at Dusty Crossing. Liz, well done. Liz is talking about the bony plates behind the eyes, and alligators do not have them. Well, alligators have almost no bone in all of their plates. So all those little ridges and bumps you see on the top of a crocodile, there's a bone plate underneath there, whereas alligators have cartilage. Now, the crocodiles have those bone plates, mostly in defense from each other. during the breeding season, it can be quite a violent affair. So well done this. It is the bony plates that separate, well, one of the things that separate the crocodiles from alligators. Crocodiles evolved into their current form about 8 million years ago, not the hundreds of millions of years that people often think. Crocodiles have been around for hundreds of million years, but in this current form, now crocodiles being one of the oldest in salt waters, about 8 million years that they have been in this exact form. Now they are, of course, the supreme inland aquatic predator in Africa, and I think this crocodile wishes there was a bit more sun, and maybe it wishes it had my bright orange shuka, but of course it doesn't. So it's out of the water, which is quite strange. Normally when it's cold like it is this morning, the water is a couple of degrees warmer than the outside, but maybe this crocodile knows that the sun is on the way. Lady Starfire is asking how old do I think this croc is. It's quite a difficult thing to judge. Oh, hello, Water Thickney, scuttling by. Bye-bye, Water Thickney. I'd say at oldest probably 80 or so, at youngest 60. Now, crocodiles can live well over 100 years old. So the fat and oil of a crocodile is actually very, very interesting, and it's used throughout Africa by a lot of different cultures. And they use it to heal scars. Now, crocodiles have regenerative properties in those oils. They can even grow back toes and stuff like that. So crocodile oil is used to hide scars, remove scars, and it is very good to put on wounds. And it is also used in magic in lots of parts of Africa. So it is used to be quite a heavily utilized species, especially in East Africa. The Olo people from around Lake Turkana live off crocodile and fish. There's very little else out in the desert, and they're a very, very important food source and a very important sort of religious and historic and cultural force in those people. They will even scar themselves to make themselves look like crocodiles. So there we go. There's our crocodiles and all the toys. Now, where's my? I can't find it. Where's It's next to Dave. Jamie's back with her Angama pride on the hunt.
There was a second lioness. Who would have guessed it? She just popped out long after the hunt was over, in the wrong place. It didn't go according to plan, whatever plan they had in their heads. The interesting thing is that our first lioness is now on the move once again, back towards where the Coke's hartebeest have gone, which seems like, you know what they say about the definition of madness. Attempting the same thing over and over and getting a different result. It's a nice example of just how clearly the black on the tips of the ears really stands out, especially at these distances. That second lioness is following on from the body language of the first, and taking her cues from there. And off they go, back towards the Cokes. The Cokes are... VM, can you see them there? Oh, there's one straight ahead of me between two trees. There we go. Awesome, thank you. They've relaxed again. They've decided their eyesight is more than up to the task of spotting an approaching lion, and they've gone back to breakfast. Perhaps that's what the lionesses are trying to take advantage of? A false sense of security, perhaps? Or they've seen something else that I haven't seen. That is also entirely possible. So we've got 2 out of 4. I'm guessing that one is with the older cubs, one is with the younger cubs. Mystical sushi. I'm chuckling because that's a question that we often touch upon in our answers. So Mystical Sushi was wondering if the Lion King is an accurate representation of what goes on within a lion pride. No, not really, not at all, not even a little bit. The fact that Mufasa only has one pride, let's start with that. Generally speaking, coalitions, and he would be in a coalition with his brother. Generally speaking, coalitions tend not to kill each other, A. B, they tend to have control over several pride mates. C, Nala would have been Simba's half-sister, or at least definitely related to him. D, Simba should never have come back and taken control over his own pride, because then he would have been mating with mum and aunts and sisters and all sorts of things. So we're sort of well on our way there towards several biological inaccuracies. Generally speaking, lions don't control hyenas. Pumbaa is a female because she's only got 2 warts. Zazu is a bird that doesn't actually exist. And Timon is a banded mongoose, given the area that we're in, and not a meerkat. What have I not... Oh, warthogs don't eat bugs. Lions cannot survive on bugs. I'm so sorry to all of the people whose childhoods I've just crushed. I'm not saying anything about Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy, but unfortunately, as wonderful as The Lion King is, and as stirring as the music of Hans Zimmer is, it is not perhaps it's not a documentary. Let's not base our lion behavior off what we've learnt in The Lion King. Rafiki doesn't exist. Going out and getting... I saw it at the cinema, and I had to be evacuated because it was a bomb scare. That was when things were still a little bit unsettled in South Africa. There was a bomb scare in the cinema when I first went to go and see The Lion King in Sandton City. And I remember going with my cousin to buy the video, the VHS, and there was great excitement, and I remember having a fierce fight with my cousin over which of our videos, despite the fact that they were identical, we got to watch first. And I'll never forget all of the adverts that played, and the sound of the music, and of course the moment that the sun broke the horizon, and there's that famous song that I'm not going to sing because no one actually knows the words. So yes, of course I like The Lion King. Of course I feel deep affection for it. I'm just saying, maybe don't take it as a textbook explanation of lions' behavior. I'm not even going to suggest asking Brent what he feels about The Lion King, but he might tell you anyway.
Lion King, pooey. But I've just heard we've got some very interesting stuff happening back at the crossing. There we go. We have got hippos. How are we going to say this, Dave? They are being very loving, making more hippos. Now, of course, almost all hippo mating happens in the water, and that is due to their incredible bulk. Oh, he's giving her a nuzzle. Due to their incredible bulk, the males wouldn't be able to mount the females if it happened on dry land. They will fight for the right to mate on dry land, but they will actually only mate in the water. And I suppose it makes sense if you have to have over 5,000 pounds jumping on top of you. Now obviously that you can see he's the big dominant bull of that raft of hippos around a dusty crossing. Now what happens is, quite interestingly, sub-adult hippos and young hippos in a lot of cases get quite curious about what's going on, and they start bumping into them, but it looks like these two have found a private spot. Now the female of course has to have some good breath control, and that's good things that hippos do. And they are able to hold their breath for up to about 5 or 6 minutes if they have to. Generally, the mating takes place in a little bit of a shallower area where the female is able to breathe most of the time. Oh. There we go. As I said, she needs to be able to hold her breath. Hello in Washington, and is wondering how deep the water is around that crossing. It all depends. This year, as I said, the river is extremely low due to the lack of rains upstream and in general in this part of Africa. But in normal things, it can be as deep as 4 meters. I'd say at the deepest points this year, it's probably maybe 2 meters deep. Sorry, when it's really deep, when the river's really deep, it can probably be 5 or 6 meters deep. There's probably 1 or 2 holes that go down to 4 or 5 meters at the moment, but on average, probably between 1.5 meters and 2.5 meters. Hi, Jeffrey. Jeffrey is wondering, where does the Mara River originate? Oh, she's up for a breath. Jeffrey, the Mara River originates in the Mau Highlands, probably about, as the crow flies, about 80 kilometers from here. But to drive there, probably a bit further, 120 or so. Now, of course, there are East African bongo in the Mau Highlands as well, which is a really, really rare species, as well as forest duikers and giant forest hogs and all sorts of remnant forest species. Well, it seems like the worst of it, well, not the worst of it, the best of it for the male at least is over. Now, they will copulate multiple times over the next sort of hour or so. Okay. Isn't this amazing? Now, eventually, we've only got 1 river cam up so far. Eventually, we're going to have multiple cameras along all over here. But it seems like Jamie's lions are looking for zebra.
They are looking for zebra, but there aren't any zebra to be found, so they're going to have to settle once again for the poor, harassed Coke's hartebeest. Back we go into hunt mode. I can't see the second lioness anymore. She was around, and they're sidling through the grass. Oh, there she is. Sorry, VM, I didn't realize she was so far behind us still. Sidling around, and again, I don't know. Those Cokes look pretty alert to me. So there's lioness number 2. Patiently waiting. Lioness number 1 is once again attempting the pincer movement to loop around the hartebeest, presumably to try and chase them back towards the second lioness. There she goes. That's a better approach, girl. Go right around. Oh, but you've been spotted again, I think. I suppose persistence pays off, and the early lion catches the hartebeest, or something like that. Shame, and they've probably been doing this all night, you know. Having seen the way that the Angamas behaved 2 nights ago, they don't rest, or they barely rest. They'll sleep for an hour and then they get up again. Here's the Cokes. Topies without their pajamas on. Or with their pajamas on, depending on your preference. Still alert, but they haven't spotted the lions. Or with stockings on, says Kirsty. No, I like the topi without pants. I think that's the way that it's going to stay. So now we wait and see whether or not these lionesses can get it right with a herd of animals that they've already tried to hunt, which is quite incredible, really. They've already tried, they've already messed it up. Perhaps they'd even tried before we got here, and now they're going to try once again, and that's what desperate hungry bellies causes. I mean, there's a whole load of zebra over there. A lot of zebra. If I were them, and I'm not, and what do I know? I mean, if I were them, that's where I'd go. I guess it's harder to remain hidden there. Grass is longer this side. Oh, let's see what these hartebeest are doing. One's skipping around, but that's what hartebeest do. They like to skip around. William, you would like to know how much longer these lions could go without food. Quite a lot longer, William. They're hungry, they're empty-bellied, but they're not at the point of starvation. There's no sticking out pelvises, no sticking out vertebra. They're eating... Oh, hold on, this is interesting. They're running towards the lionesses now. Why are you running towards the lionesses? Is there a third lioness that we don't know about? It's entirely possible in this long grass. I could say that these lionesses could go without a meal for at least another week, probably even longer than that. But remember, of course, because they live in the wild, if they don't eat, they are going to get weaker and weaker. Nobody's going to provide them with food. They can't go down to the grocery store, so it gets harder and harder for them to hunt, which is why they have to just keep going, keep trying. Where have these lionesses gone? They've gone completely flat now. As soon as they saw the hartebeest running towards them. Just checking. They're probably belly slinking along. I think we're in the best possible position here. Now they're running straight towards the lions. Got even closer. Where's that first lioness? Can't see her. But when she comes, she's going to come fast. Somewhere, hidden in there. Ah, well done, Wiem. Most impressed. There's our second lioness. Again, she's very visible. I've seen impala spot leopards at a kilometre away. Impala standing on the top of a ridge, alarm calling at a leopard in this area. They know how to spot things at a distance. Mita, by the way, Mita, you are absolutely correct in that lions do not speak. Very valid point that was raised by Mita, who's one of our 8-year-old viewers. Mita, you want to know if the lionesses are, if it's only two hunting, are they taking turns? They're not taking turns, they're planning a way to ambush the animals, so they're both working together to try and get into the right position, that if one of them can't catch the animal, then the other one can. And I don't know if it's only two. There could be three here. I can only see two, but there might be three. There could even be four. There are 4 lionesses in this pride, and obviously lions do work together to hunt their prey. So it's a very good question, Mita. One thing I have noticed, as an extension of Mita's question, is that generally speaking, only 2 or 3 Angama lionesses hunt together at a time. I'm not putting that forward as a conclusion. I'm saying that is what I've seen. I have only seen them hunting in 2s and 3s. I have never seen all 4 hunting together. Doesn't mean they don't, but it's just something I've observed. Might just be that they've been a little bit separate over the last few days. Patience. You went too quickly, too obviously earlier, girl. These antelope are alert. If you're going to pull this off, you're going to have to do it patiently. They are far too aware of what's going on. One last thing, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to Lion King bash at all, because it's a wonderful movie and all of that. One last thing. It did do terrible things for hyenas' reputations. I'm just going to put that out there. I mean, a bit between them being stupid and evil, it didn't do wonderful things for them. Just in the same way that Jaws didn't actually do fantastic things for sharks and conservation of sharks. Just one other little thing, little factor. I've also, by the way, I've seen the stage show. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I loved every minute of it. Right, that was all I had to add. Let's go back to our lion hunt. Geraldine Kent in Final Control would like to know if I meant I went to go and see a stage show of The Lion King or a stage show of Jaws. I would pay good money to see a stage show of Jaws. I obviously meant The Lion King, but can you imagine?
Musical Jaws.
Do-do, 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 do-do. Sorry, dear. Okay, let's go back to the matter at hand. None of this flippancy. There's lions hunting. They're hungry. And they're not getting any closer for now. I've been trying to work out if there's a road that I can get us a little bit closer to, but I don't think so, unfortunately. Not that's going to improve our view any. At least up here we've got the higher ground, so we can see slightly better. And it brings us back to the question of how close we get when the lions are hunting. We get as close as we can without interfering with their hunt. That's pretty much end of story. If we feel like we're in any way going to impact them, then that's that. That's as close as we'll go. The same thing that happened to me the other evening, where I couldn't see the lioness, I couldn't see the cubs, and so we had to deal with basically a speck of white in the screen that was the zebra that they were hunting, and that was all we could offer. But certainly not ever going to come at the expense of the lion's hunt, or to the benefit of the prey either, or to harm the prey, to chase them towards the lions. So all of those are factors that we're constantly thinking of and balancing up in our minds. What's going to be the best place to be so that we don't get in the way? I imagine the lionesses feel much the same. Roshni, difficult question to answer. In fact, I would say impossible question to answer. For now. You want to know how different the personalities are between the prides of the lions in the Mara and the prides in Djuma. Obviously, it's a completely different ecosystem. They approach things differently. They've got different stresses. They've got different benefits. There's more food around. So all of those will factor into making lions that are completely, or approach things completely differently. And it is impossible at this stage, I think, for me to really compare, because I haven't observed enough. First of all, I haven't observed enough lion prides. I've only really spent time with the Angamas, a little bit with the Olololos, and a little bit with the Ridge Pride. But beyond that, I haven't really had a chance to properly observe behavior from them. I've given you some of the differences already, just in terms of the way that the Angamas hunt, and the way that they're constantly revolving around the cubs. Hunt, fail, come back to the cubs. Hunt, fail, come back to the cubs. Hunt, succeed, one lioness doesn't even feed. She goes straight back to get the cubs. They're going to try again. They are going to hunt. They are hunting these hartebeest. It's just going to take quite a while. But nothing good ever came from not having patience. Second lioness moving towards the first. It would be fascinating to be a lion for a day, don't you think? Just to understand what goes on through their minds. Michael, good question. I've been trying to work that out in my mind as well. They probably will go for the calf, because hartebeest are fast and the calf is probably going to be a little bit slower, but not by much. So it's actually anyone's guess whether they go for an adult or a calf. An adult is perfectly within their means, particularly with two lionesses. Even one lioness, I believe, would be able to take down a hartebeest without too much trouble. If she could catch it, of course. So I would say it's anyone's guess. I've spoken about this before, but what's fascinating is when they are hunting, the fact that each lioness knows the intended target to the point that they will ignore the other animals running away next to them. I find that fascinating. Oops. How they communicate that. Oh, she's invisible almost. Just the faintest outline of a lion behind the grass, and she's gone. I don't know. I'd love to know. We know they communicate with the backs of their ears. I can see the second one there. I think I can. Yes, I can. You can too. So the black sticks out. So it's obviously in that way. That visual communication is giving them clues. But it is so slick. Almost as if the cast of a Jaws musical had been rehearsing for months at a time. Right. Well, we wait for the lions to decide if they're going to creep closer to our hartebeest. Let's go back to Brent, who's wrapped up nice and warm in his sunrise shuka.
Hello, welcome back everyone. Hi, Dave was trying to fix something quickly. We're going to go across to the migration map. Now, of course, I know James has explained quite a bit. Now, generally, the wildebeest, May to June, and we're still in June, would be around the Grumeti River here. But because of the lack of rain around the central Serengeti, the first wildebeest crossed, and this is, here we go, the first wildebeest crossed about here on the 12th or 14th of June, which is over a month earlier than they're supposed to. And they should only really be coming around over the Sand River in the next 2 weeks. We've already had crossings here. There are already wildebeest that are now stretching up, and there's already wildebeest coming in from here. So it's very early. Now, we've got lots of grass in the Mara, so we're very, very lucky this year. This also means that the wildebeest are probably going to stay a lot longer. Now, remember, if you've got any questions about what's happening here in Kenya, in the Masai Mara National Reserve, please use the hashtag SafariLive to get hold of us. Sammy Jane is wondering how large is the reserve. Well, the National Reserve itself is about 160,000 hectares, which is just under 400,000 acres. But if we have a look here, let me just figure out where we are. Okay, there we go. The National Reserve itself goes from about here. It does a funny little dog leg like this, then it goes out here, then down onto the Tanzanian border, and then all the way to the escarpment. So, more or less like that. But from here, all the way around, like this, stretching right up to the next escarpment, is the conservancies. So those are areas that are run separately from the reserve. They're individually owned by Maasai families, and that land is then leased by different safari companies. So they graze their cattle as well as look after the wildlife in those areas. So in total, you would probably say, the whole Masai Mara, including the conservancies, over 500,000 acres or so. But one mustn't look at the Masai Mara as its own ecosystem. It is part of the Serengeti ecosystem, which then makes this incredibly massive. All the way down to near Ngorongoro crater, onto the southern plains, and the southern plains, of course, is where they give birth, and then coming round into the Grumeti, and up and round back to the Mara, and that's over 10 million acres, 15 million acres in total. So it is only able to exist like this because of its size. So the sheer mass of animals that are piled into this tiny section up here at the moment wouldn't be sustainable throughout the year. And they have to be able to move, and there has to be good grasslands as they keep going. So it is very, very interesting how they move. Hello, Chitty Chatty Meg. Chitty Chatty Meg, that's quite an interesting name. We'd like to know, what are the names of the trees that have the flat tops? I'm trying to see if I've got a picture of them somewhere here. I'm going to have to get a picture of the flat top trees for James. Now, there's quite a few different types of trees that have flat tops. I'm trying to have a look. Ooh, can we look out the window, Dave? Okay, so if we look down, you'll see the speckled trees there. Now, quite a lot of them have quite flat tops, and those are called Balanites trees. So they're a type of torchwood. Then also you get Acacia tortilis, and Acacia abyssinica that also are flat top trees. So there we go. Those are the different flat top trees. There are others that occasionally will also have flat tops, but those are the main species we're looking at. Now, of course, we don't have too many of those flat top trees up top here where we're sitting on the edge of the escarpment. This is all remnant forest. We've got beautiful wild olives and big combretums, very different combretums or bush willows to what we get. And we actually do have an acacia. Let's look there, Dave. There's a baby Abyssinica, but up here they don't really get as big, and they're only in areas where there's gaps between the trees and the grass. There we go, you can see the lovely yellow flowers on the Abyssinica. I'll go pick a branch just now, next time we're off here, so I can show you that a little bit closer. Or maybe we should do that. I think I'm going to go next time, I'm going to go have a walk. I'm going to find you some different tree species that occur up on top of the escarpment, because of course it's a very different ecosystem. Now there's patches of forests all around us, and for me, being a bird watcher, that's very exciting. We've got a lot of sort of right at the edge of the range, some of the Congo Basin species, so Idiopluses and forest warblers and other incredible birds to look for here. Hi, James. James is wondering, are there bird species that leave and arrive with the migration? Not really leave and arrive with the migration. The birds have their own separate migration, but you will find the wattled starlings in this area take advantage of the migration when it's here, and of course the oxpeckers. And one of the cool things you often see out here is the wattled starlings actually riding cowboy. So they actually sit on top of the wildebeest and zebra as the migration moves, and as the migration disturbs insects, they grab them. Okay, now let's get back to the map, and we've got some interesting stuff going on here. Oh, but it sounds like we're going to go back down to the northern corner of the triangle, because Jamie's lions are still on the hunt.
They are still on the hunt, but this time exercising a considerable amount of patience in the whole hunting process. We're not going anywhere until we see how the situation plays out. We're going to sit patiently and wait. Again, you've got a situation where I find that it looks further away with the camera than it is in real life. So to give you a distance, it's probably about 70 meters to the closest hartebeest at this stage. Oh, and a rhino! Hey! How exciting is that? That's my first ever live black rhino sighting. I'm so excited. Imagine if this had been Djuma, I would have been in trouble because I didn't spot it. We would have accidentally shown it. Oh, that's so exciting. How awesome is that? Hartebeest in the foreground, hunting lions off to the left, and a rhino in the middle. Oh, man. That's actually only the second black rhino sighting I've had here. Hello. I wonder if it's the same bull that Scott saw a couple of days ago. Hello, mister. Oh, man. And black rhino are probably my favorite animals in the entire world. Well, that's so exciting. I wonder if anyone else has spotted it. It doesn't appear to be the case. That was Kirsty that spotted the rhino. Somewhat embarrassingly. Well done, Kirst. Oh, that's so cool. Of course, it was Louise. Kirsty just took credit for it. So this is a novelty for our new viewers. To be able to show the rhino is a truly exciting thing for all of us. It's something I strongly believe in, because the more people see them, the more people will fall in love with them, especially as we start to get to know them better, and the more people will be invested in their future. There's two rhino! Awesome! There's two rhino there. Even better than one. Miss Sky, no, the lions are unlikely to go after the rhino. I've seen lions attacking rhino before. A lot of the time, sub-adults actually are the ones that play with rhino. They practice their hunting skills. I've seen lions jumping onto the backs of rhino and then wandering off when they got tired of the game. But lions can and do kill rhino, especially calves. It does happen. The lions in the sands killed a black rhino calf not so long ago. I'm sure you're all wondering, much like myself, where Scott has been and what he's up to. Let's go find out where he's racing to.
We are in for a treat, everyone. There are hundreds of wildebeest crossing the Mara River in front of us here. That's why I'm driving so quickly. Hold on to your seatbelts, because we're about to get into some serious action here. We could just see dust rising from the wildebeest stampeding through the river, and there's a long line of hundreds and thousands of them up ahead of us. We just need to now work out how to get to the action. Oh, that's the road there. Hold on. This is going to be so awesome. There were actually a...
Oh, hello. I'm outside. I'm coming. Hi, Dave. Hello. Hi. Hi. Sorry about that. I was going to collect some trees. Here we go. Just so you can have a bit of a closer look at the acacia. Now, there's a very important part of the Morrow Triangle where these trees are dominant, and there's lots of giraffe. So here we go. I'm going to place that where the acacias are. Here we go. Acacia for acacia. Maybe James will take the tip. Maybe we can cut some little acacia trees. No, I'm joking, of course. Now, the real cool plant that I actually was looking for more than the acacia was this. Dave, do you want to smell? Here we go. I'll spell it off, Dave. You ask for a smell and then you drop it on the table. That's just unacceptable. Unacceptable behavior. I need a stick. Don't have a cameraman stick here. Now, if you get a cold or flu up here, the local people come to this tree, and it is called a camphor bush. I scrunch it up like that, and most of you at home will know what camphor smells like. And so, if you want to have a successful working day while you have a snotty nose, one must just do this. Sinus clear. Now let us carry on. Now, I've been looking at James's pictures here, and he's actually got one of my favorite artists. I can't see where it is now. And of course, let me just take these out of my nose, though. I don't have a cold or the flu. And I actually have some of the books that these at home that these actually come from. And there we go. Hambit is one of my favorite bird artists. Now, they're quite stylized compared to what you would traditionally see in... Oh, quickly across to Scott with that wildebeest!
For a link shortly. Okay, so we've got into position, we've got signal, and here it is. They are very fortunate in that this is quite a shallow stretch of the river, so they've cleverly chosen this area. It's going to be tricky for any crocodiles to get them as they skip across this shallow stretch of the Mara River. Getting a drink along the way. A lot of them. Absolutely awesome. I'm going to ask Senzo to just zoom out to give you an idea of how many are queuing up. Look at that. Look at all of them up there. They've got quite a steep slope to traverse down. Sadly, we are going to battle to get into a good position to show you them negotiating the steep cliff. And it's not uncommon for them to get a little bit of a fright like we're seeing now and head back up, wait for the pressure to build again before they pluck up the courage to cross. And I wonder how long it's been going on for. It's difficult to see from here. Actually, we can see from here. Senzo, why don't we film across to the right and let's show them already who's crossed. Look through there. Look at that mass of wildebeest. These have all already crossed. And imagine how many more on the other side of that ridge. Absolutely incredible. And this is definitely one of Mother Nature's biggest bounties or movements of animals, and we are so lucky to be witnessing it.